Okay, so welcome to Impact Stack. I'm just going to take you through a few slides to introduce us, More Onion, and the system before we start looking at some real actions, which I always think is the best way to showcase what the system can do, is to see what our clients are doing with it. So just to introduce More Onion, we're a digital mobilization specialist agency. We have a team based across Europe. So some of the team based in Vienna, some of us in the UK, some in Germany. And we work on a range of areas that support progressive organisations with their campaigning and their fundraising. So that's kind of the concept of the onion, that we work at different levels with our clients to support them, whether that's just software development, full campaign delivery or campaign strategy, and training and capacity building. So today we're here to talk about Impact Stack, which is a campaigning and fundraising platform. Another way to think about it is a system that is designed to help you collect data in a structured way through forms which are well designed, well branded, well optimized, and a pleasure to use, both for you as the people building them and also for your supporters or the people that who you want to use them. And here's a selection of our current Impact Stack clients. So I'm now going to take this off and you should be able to see the Rewilding Britain petition now. I just get a confirmation. Thank you, Lucy. So what I'm going to do is show some actions so you can see a range of some of the ways that our clients are using the system. And then I'll give you a quick demo of how to set up a simple action in Impact Stack. So I'm going to start with this one. Rewilding Britain is a relatively new organisation in the UK. And this is their what's sometimes called a hand raiser petition. So, you know, the beginning of a supporter journey, this would be the place that somebody joins their campaign, finds out about what they're calling for. And this is an action which is asking specifically for a change of policy in how UK national parks are managed to promote nature to take a freer course. But what obviously I want to showcase, as well as their great campaign, is some of the ways that Impact Stack is able to present their campaign in a really impactful way. So as well as this very strongly branded, visible layout, you've got you know, their logo top left, their color scheme, and their typography. So this comes as standard with our standard themes. So this is the standard default layout with on a desktop. You've got your content on the left and your form on the right, and lots of formatting options to make your content really pop. So we've got the option here to have pop-out text. So they've got the full petition text here. So it's completely transparent. People can see what it is they're signing up to and what it is they're sending to the Prime Minister and the ministers of the devolved nations. But it's not dominating the form. As you can see, there's a lot of text here. So you can also just pop it out, pop it away again so that people can get straight to the form. The other interesting thing to highlight here is this action is available in translation. Impact Stack has powerful translation options, which if you're running a cross-European campaign is really, really valuable. If you're based in the UK, the language you might be interested in delivering is Welsh. So this action, because it targets specifically the Welsh government, is delivered both in English and in Cymraeg. And this counter picks up signatures from both versions of the petition. Obviously, they've got different content here, speaking to the fact that the Welsh-speaking audience interact. You know, this is a particularly famous person in Welsh-speaking Wales. Another thing to highlight here is the way that the opt-in is delivered. You've got a lot of options for configuring your opt-in in lots of different ways within Impact Stack. What they've got here is a radio button, which means you can't skip the question. So our research is showing that this is a really effective way of driving more opt-ins on your forms, because people can't just skim over a checkbox and ignore it. They've also got this nice little feature here where if you click no, you get a little bit of additional text. This can be really useful to explain what's going to happen when you click no. So are you going to be unsubscribed, or is it just going to not change your preferences? All of those are configurable in the system. But this is also another call to action. You know, are you sure you don't want to stay in touch with this campaign if you're motivated enough to sign the petition? So with this one, I'm just going to fill in my details. I'm just going to use a little trick here because I've signed this petition before. Because obviously by default, you don't want the same email address being submitted multiple times to a petition. And this collects the postcode. Obviously, you want your petition forms to be as simple and quick as possible to fill in, but you can add whatever questions you want onto your petitions. In this case, they've decided postcode is a really valuable one for them. And within Impact Stack, UK postcode is a particularly valuable piece of information to collect because it will populate the supporter record additionally with the UK nation, so Wales, Scotland, England, or Northern Ireland, the name of the current MP, the constituency, and the political affiliation of the current MP, and then you can use all of that data for segmentation. So in the case of this campaign, that's really useful because it means that they can identify really easily who lives in Wales, who lives in Scotland, and obviously they'll be offered different follow-up actions because national parks are a devolved issue in the UK. And they've got this nice text explaining here from the point of view of the benefits to the supporter, why it's a good idea, why they want that information. And you've got your social proof down at the bottom. And then we get a thank you page. So there's lots of options within Impact Stack to offer different things here. You can redirect to a donation page. You can have a pop-up overlay that sits over the top with a different ask. But in this case, they've got the kind of default option, which is a thank you page with options to share, which are really easy to configure in the back end. And you can set that to share by default the action that somebody's just taken. You can also set it to share a different action if that's right for the supporter journey you're taking somebody on. If the person's taken this on a mobile device, you can also have WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger enabled, but those don't display on a desktop by default. So that's a fairly straightforward petition. I'm just going to show you another one just so that you can see some different options of how to set it up. This is a different layout variation that you can purchase in addition to the basic 2-column layout on with our standard themes. So this is a petition from Shelter targeting particularly people in Bristol. So this is a photo which would be very recognisable to anyone in the city of Bristol and really kind of localises the action for that target audience. So same, we've got space for the content on the left. And they've added some additional questions here. So similarly, they've decided to ask for postcode because localizing this campaign is really important to them. They've also asked these additional questions because they really want to know more about people's relationship with this issue. And obviously a question like this is going to reduce your completion rates. So they've decided that this is important enough information for them to be worth slowing people down or reducing responses because it means that they can understand better and follow up more relevantly with their supporters. And they've got a different option for their opt-in configuration here. So they've got a straightforward checkbox. And all this wording, as you can see, is configurable. So in this case, it's a manifesto. They want people to sign it, and that's the call to action. So you can edit all of this text. So I'm not going to sign this one. You've got the idea. So different sort of action here. This one from Tradecraft Exchange, which is the campaigning arm of a fair trading organisation in the UK. Is an email to target action. Within Impact Stack, you can set up email to target action using databases that we provide, or you can add your own data sets. So in this case, this is a message to a single target, the Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy around net zero and strategy to hit net zero without outsourcing all of our carbon harm to other countries. And so this works in a kind of step-by-step option. Say no and same. This time they've got a little pop-up text explaining what's going to happen. So no won't unsubscribe you. So they've got it configured so that no means no change. And obviously that's something they need to configure, they communicate really quickly. I think I've probably signed this one before, so I'm just going to pop a plus in. There we go. And so we can see the message here, which I can edit, personalize, make more relevant to me before I send it. Obviously, because I've sent this message before, I'm not going to send it again. So I'm going to stop at that point. But you can see, obviously, that the mechanism will work in the same way. The supporter will be delivered to a thank you page and also receive a confirmation email to explain, to confirm that their message has been sent. So just to show the other alternative for an email to target action, we provide a range of target data sets for the UK. We do also have data sets that we can make available for Germany. So if you have other data sets you're interested in, do let us know. In the UK, we've got MPs, councillors. We're about to release council leaders. So that's one target per local council, and that's upper tier and single and upper tier and single and lower tier, because in England, some areas have 2 layers of local government. We also have members of the Senedd, members of the Scottish Parliament, members of the Northern Ireland Assembly, and we will hopefully have Greater London Assembly members before too long. And the other one is clinical commissioning groups, if you're interested in health targets. This one is an action targeting local councillors. This will connect you with your ward councillor, so the very most local level of connection. So they've actually got some filters, and I hit one earlier, which was great, which is where they've set up filters where if they've got a group in that specific area, you're actually delivered to a message that says, actually, we have a local group, and go here to find out their details and join the local group instead. Unfortunately, I can't remember what postcode I used to find it, so I will see if I can find it and send through a link afterwards if anyone's interested. But I'll send the links to all of these actions out, and you can have a look. So I'm going to hop on and just show one more. So this one I just wanted to show because it's got a really beautiful custom theme that we built for NABU, which is for the UK people, I think the German equivalent of the RSBB. And this is a campaign action against a road building project near Hamburg. So this is connecting people with the mayor of Hamburg to object to the kind of habitat and climate and environmental impacts of this road building project. But you can see that this action has kind of a bit more design, a bit more branding, and also these additional content sections underneath, which don't, and a different implementation of the social proof, and different yeah, just a different layout basically. So it's an example of what we can build for people. And Florian, you're absolutely right. NABU deals with a lot more than just birds, but so does the RSPB. It's they started with birds, and their remit, as with NABU, is that you can't save birds on their own. Absolutely right. Cool. So here's an example of a donation page. And so this is an interesting one to showcase. Again, this is another implementation of our standard theme where we've applied Client Earth's branding to it for them, custom footer down here. And obviously, I'm not going to go through the steps. You know how a donation page works, and I can send you through some links. But just to highlight, obviously, all of these are configurable. Client Earth tend to have a lot of they're targeting lawyers, so often their donation prompts will be a bit higher than you might see on other organizations' pages. In this case, they're redirecting to another location at the moment for regular gifts, and we're in the process of implementing an option for them that's going to allow them to collect regular gifts through their pages. We've got a number of different payment options, and so different clients choose different combinations, but you can collect single and regular gifts through Impact Stack donation pages. What I particularly wanted to highlight here was the translation options. So they're collecting donations from countries across the EU. There's also 3 different English language options. This one is English language collecting in euros. This one's English language collecting in pounds, and this one's English language collecting in dollars. So there's some really powerful customization options here if you're fundraising across multiple countries. So if I go into the German version, this obviously will be German and in euros, and the English USA will be collecting dollars. You can collect multiple donations through the same page and have a currency drop down, but it can obviously, for them, because of the mapping of language and combination of language and currency, it worked better to kind of have translations to match the different currency options. Here's another example of a really lovely custom theme that we built for Together Trust, which is an organisation that works with people with learning disabilities in the northwest of England. And so obviously you can see this is more styled. You've got this really high impact background image and these additional elements. So you can highlight what your money could buy, other ways to support, a custom footer. So it's a really nice alternative way of presenting the action. Just to showcase a couple of other donation pages, these are examples of donation pages that organisations are presenting as thank you pages. So when somebody has taken an action, you arrive here. So this was an action that Jubilee Debt Campaign were doing earlier this year around debt cancellation. And so after signing the petition, you could arrive at this page and be given the option to donate to support the campaign. Obviously, you can have as many of these buttons as you want. It's very much a decision for you about kind of what the purpose of the page is, what your objectives are. So they wanted to kind of catch everybody here. So that was their decision to provide a really wide range of donation prompt options there. And you can see you've got the count. This comes as standard, this kind of progression steps, so people can see where they are in the process. And this is another example, Global Justice Now, just to show you another design. This is another one that would appear as a thank you page in an action process. So, you know, thank you for supporting the campaign for vaccine equality. Could you support the campaign in another way by donating? And just a couple of examples of other kinds of actions, because as I said at the beginning, Impact Stack, the obvious use cases are email to targets, petitions, and donation pages, but you can use these anywhere where you need to collect data from supporters or from stakeholders in a structured way. So here's an example from Amnesty International Austria, which I think is probably what you might call a value exchange proposition if you were in the fundraising world. So you can it's a free offer, which is part of that offer obviously is the option to give your permission to contact these people in future. So you can order a guide to your rights in a demonstration, so you know your rights if you're kettled or arrested in a public demo, and obviously part of that process people are asked, would you like to be on our mailing list and hear from us again, and hopefully they feel kind of sufficiently invested in the organization and appreciative to want to build on that relationship. So, this isn't a campaign action, it isn't a donation action, it's something else. But obviously, as part of the process of gathering that person's data, adding a tag to their supporter record to say that they've done this, you can build on that relationship with the supporter on an ongoing basis. And we've got clients who use Impact Stack for a lot of different ways. So this is a really sweet one. This is actually an event taking place today, if anyone wants to meet Santa later on. MenCap do all of their event registrations through Impact Stack, and that goes from events like this, which is a Facebook Live to meet Santa, which I think is targeted probably at some of their kind of user base, right through to their half marathons, fundraising events, these kinds of things. Because they also take donations through Impact Stack, some of these are free events and some of them are events where you have to pay a deposit or buy a ticket, and obviously the payment integration means that they can do that through Impact Stack, and all of their data is handled in the same way. What they also do is use it for other kind of beginnings of a relationship. So this is a page on their website. But if you would like to, start to talk to them about the possibility of gifts in wills, you'll be taken through to an Impact Stack page form, which allows you to order this free gifts in wills guide, which obviously then the Legacies team will be able to follow up directly. We're in the process of building a new theme for MenCap, so these pages are going to look quite different in a few weeks' time. We're really looking forward to those changes rolling out. So I'm going to quickly move on so you can see how it works in the back end. So this is what Impact Stack looks like when you're logged in. This obviously is our demo installation. And so it's held on a subdomain. So this would be if your website was, myorganisation.org, it would be a subdomain myorganisation.org. So to the user, it feels like they're still on your web property, they're still on your website. But actually that subdomain is pointing to our servers, which are hosted in Germany. And when you log in as a staff user, this is what you'll see. This is your effective homepage, which is a list of all the content in the installation, with the most recently edited or most recently created at the top. So I'm just going to whiz you through the process of creating a new petition, and it's as simple as this: a new petition. I give it a title. This is test action. And we've got a place to put in a WYSIWYG editor here to put in your content. So I'm just going to put in content here. Obviously, I can paste it in from somewhere else, but I need to make sure that I've taken out any additional coding. So we'll always paste via Notepad. And I've got space for a picture here. So I'm just going to cheat by putting in something I've used before. Obviously, I can upload something new. And I can put in text that's going to appear above the form as well. I can switch the progress bar on and off, and I can configure very easily what the targets are. What this will do by default is when it reaches 90% of your first target, it will redisplay the second target. So this makes it really easy to manage. Or if you've got a real target, we're going to hand it in when we reach 50,000. Then you just stick it to 50,000 and you can edit all this text to explain that. We need 50,000 signatures because that's when we're going to hand it in, or because that's what we think we need. And the display, you can present it as a bar or a thermometer. So on a donation page, it will automatically display as a thermometer, but you can switch it back to a bar. You can also link together nodes. So if you've got translations, it will do this automatically. But if you were running several different versions of a petition, for example, to test slightly different text or images, you can link the nodes together so the counter will pull the figure from both. So it just makes it really easy to manage. So, and the other thing you can do is add in a figure that you've collected somewhere else. So say you've already been running this petition somewhere else and you're relaunching it, or you've collected signatures via street stalls or whatever, you can say, actually, I've already got this many signatures from somewhere else, and we can just include those. Recent supporters, again, we can switch on and off, and we can configure how to display it. If you've got an international petition, you can show country with a little flag, which is quite nice. If your petition signers are all from the same country, that's less interesting. And we've got a number of advanced options. I won't spend too much time on here, but you've got options to switch your different layouts on and off, to add tags, and to control the URL that appears that you can then share and direct people to the action. Broadly, that's our content. Here's our form. This is what will be dropped in from your template, which we set up for you at onboarding. And obviously these can be changed. So once this is created, I can add different fields. I can take fields out, but I'm not going to touch this because obviously I've got a fairly sensible default petition set up here. But if I wanted to add in additional questions, say, I can configure that. And I'll call it questions, so I can see it nice and clearly if I wanted to use that elsewhere. So I can edit all these buttons. Is it sign now? Is it sign the manifesto? I'm just going to leave it for now. You can turn on double opt-in. So for those of you in the UK, you're probably unlikely to have seen this anywhere else other than the number 10 Downing Street petition site. It's not commonly used in the UK, but that's where you have to click a link in an email to confirm your signature for the petition. Much more commonly used in mainland Europe. It's quite routine there, so it's very easily switched on and off. Obviously, if you switch that on, you'll have two emails to set up here. The click to confirm email and the final confirmation email. But in general, we'll just have a thank you email. And again, Impact Stack will always give you sensible defaults. So if you don't touch anything, you'll probably end up with something broadly sensible. But obviously you can then go in and configure it and tailor it and make it really personalized to your action. So here's a token. It's going to drop in from the person's form submissions. So it'll address them by name. So there's your email. You can also set up a notification email. So say this is an event sign up form. You can set it so that you or a colleague gets a notification every time somebody submits the form. Obviously for a petition, you'd be very unlikely to want to do that. And then we set up our thank you page. As you can see, there's options to redirect people, and you can set up conditional redirects based on things people have submitted in the form. So for example, if somebody says no to the opt-in question, you could redirect them to a page that explains why you think it's a really good idea that they do, but everybody else gets the standard thank you page, for example. So for this, I'm just going to set up standard way, thank you page. And stick my hedgehog picture back on it as well. I can put in whatever copy I want. And then there's a really easy to configure share block where you can choose which options you want to have available, put in prompt text. And if you want to, you can put in a different URL to be shared if it feels relevant for that action. And here's the overlay. So you can also set up a pop-up if you want to. for now, I'm just going to go straight through. And we get this very encouraging page at the end. Your copy is great. My copy isn't great yet, but it will be. And I can decide now, do I want to publish or save as draft? So if I save as draft, I can only see this because I'm logged in. And we get this little visual prompt here with this pink background, just to remind you that actually non-logged in users won't be able to see this at the moment. So that's how quick it can be. Obviously, there's a bit more to email to target, but I think we're out of time. So I've maybe got time for one question before we close. And if anyone's got any additional questions, we're more than happy to set up a follow-up session so you can take a more detailed look. Anyone got any burning questions or clarifications you'd like me to clear up before we finish? No? In that case, I will take my share.
Jess?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jess, I think Florian had a question.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Florian.
Yeah, I can also put it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I know that my website manager is reluctant when it comes to investing in things we can also do on the main website. So the agency would probably say, well, we can all, build this landing pages and all this. You can do it partly by yourself. I mean, I have my answer, but I'd like to hear from you to have some good arguments, obviously, to invest, right?
It would be different for you, I guess, because for many of our UK clients, one of the compelling options would be the postcode map data sets. Maintaining data sets is an enormous amount of work, and the postcode mapping is an enormous amount of work. So if you want to run actions targeting MPs or councillors or whatever, then that's not something that's readily deliverable by an in-house team. And even if it was, it'd be very hard work to update. I appreciate that doesn't apply to you. You're in Austria, right? Yeah. So the advantages there would be about data management. So when somebody signs up on an impact stack form and uses that configurable opt-in, you can have it configured to link to, we've got a number of email integrations. So if you're using MailChimp or Episerver or Optivo or Dotmailer, your opt-in or the supporters opt-in can flow automatically, instantly over to your email system, along with all of their, their other data that you would like to send across there for segmentation and merge purposes. So that means you can put them straight into automated welcome journeys. And obviously you'll have the tags from the impact stack action so that you can see and segment according to what they've already done. So as well as avoiding the manual transfer of that data, which would have to happen via your website, you've also have got that segmentation information available immediately and on an ongoing basis. So if they come back and take another action, the tag can flow back, and you can, for example, send chaser emails to people who haven't taken action very easily, because you can see immediately who's taken the action and who hasn't. So that's the big advantage, really.